Deck profile wise, I feel like there aren't a lot of other decks to really explore. With Eaters, you'll see a lot of creators having done profiles on this deck, and with a limited card pool, I'll just tuck this away for a future project. But today's deck profile instead is going to ask the simple question of, is BT22 Alphamon enough for an actual Alphamon deck from the days past? As always, if you enjoyed these types of videos, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more future content. To recap, BT22 Alphamon is the newest Alphamon that has no connection to previous X-Antibody Digimon, nor does it have any connection to the Chronicle line. Because of this Royal Nitrate Digimon is its own exclusive line that follows the CS trait Digimon, and the tamer, Kyoko Kurumi. And while it can be problematic because of that 4-cost Digivolution, there are ways to mitigate this as well. Alphamon is a Digimon that has an on-play, when Digivolving and when attacking effect, in which one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5000 DP for the turn. It also has an all turns, once per turn effect in which when this Digimon suspends. If Kyoko Kurumi is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, or if this Digimon's stack has 2 or more same level cards, it gets plus 3000 DP until your opponent's turn ends. Then, this Digimon unsuspends. Keep in mind the unsuspend automatically happens, but the DP buff can be crucial at times. Did I mention, in addition to being a twice a turn attacker, it also has Reboot and Blocker? All in all, this is the only new card that you might consider adding to your old Alphamon deck in place of old ones, because honestly, there's a lot of silly shenanigans that this card can do. That being said, if this isn't something you want to play, your BT13 Alphamon or even the BT20 Alphamons are still valid options. One makes your Digimon sticky by trashing a card with the X-Antibody or Royal Knight in its traits, while the other has barrier and provides inheritable protection for the ouryumon mode. But my focus for this one is mainly because of its ability to unsuspend. Combo-wise, you're ideally looking at always setting up in the Rays and evoing up your line. Yuji Messiah and trainings can really help you later down the line on the promote. Let's say hypothetically you have a level 5 coming out of the Rays with a training and 2 Yuji Messiahs in play. Keep in mind, Yuji draws you a card and gains you a memory for each copy. Promoting at a level 4 is also fine, but this also means that where you end up will ultimately be a turn reprieve, assuming your opponent doesn't have a way to delete or spin Alphamon to the hand, deck, or security. Regardless, whether you have a secondary Digivolution source of the same level already intact, after you Digivolve into Alphamon, then you can attack, and a series of things can happen. First, you'll DP reduce one of your opponent's Digimon by 5000 DP on the Digivolve, and then when you attack, you'll do another 5000 DP reduction. And with that same level source, you'll get that DP buff and unsuspend. Now on the next attack, you can suspend Yuji in order to tuck ouryumon in order to draw a card off Dorimon, maybe gain a memory if you have the BT7 Dorumon, DP reduce another 5000 DP, and then end of attack, assuming nothing kills you in security, you unsuspend with Ouryu's Inheritable. Keep in mind, with each ouryumon and Yuji, another tuck means that you can unsuspend again. And because of this silly combo, this is why I do not think BT7 Dorugreymon is coming off that restriction list anytime soon. But ultimately there are other ways to get an extra security check if you're running a specific option card. And while this is just one direct element of utilizing this combo, you can also do some heavy damage with ouryumon and simply blast Evo with the Alphamon in hand if you happen to draw them out of order. But with just one card for this deck, what does the deck profile even look like? Simply put, this deck has a lot of similarities to its previous incarnations, with some of its ratios slightly adjusted. The ultimate egg for this deck is of course Dorimon, meaning when you slot any card into the sources, once per turn, you get a draw card. I don't really like any of the other Dorimons, but I'm sure you can experiment with other variants for your personal build. As for the level 3s, I run the 4 copies of Dorumons, because this card can steal back turns whether you're end of turn using that Dorugreymon's effect, or you're slotting from the hand via Yuji Messiah. Did I also mention that this card is also a convenient searcher? Adding another searcher to the mix, we have ouryumon. The inheritable for this isn't as useful, but we are able to potentially find not just other X-Antibody Digimon, but Yuji Messiah as well. And then of course for the remaining 3s, we have Dorumons which can pitch an X-Antibody Digimon to draw 2, which is convenient with the deck's variants, along with the Dorumon that can provide additional DP buffs. Why DP buffs? Because there's a lot of big things out there that sometimes 16,000 DP isn't enough. With Dorugamons, you're running the standard variants that give blocker in the presence of another X-Antibody Digimon, and the one that has a cheaper on-play cost. Both of these Digimon provide an all turns plus 1000 DP buff, which again, comes in handy. Because of Yuji Messiah, you have ways to tuck more level 3s, 4s, or 5s, so your combos don't really hinge on necessarily digivolving over with the deck's counterparts. The dexdorugamons, of course, are the old ones because they can gain memory. But I ran one of the newer ones just because it's great pitch fodder and also sets up for a level 4 protection if needed down the road. One issue is though is that there isn't a tamer player for Yuji Messiah, which is why there isn't much else to explore here. As for Dorugreymons, the BT7 variant just can't come back. It ain't coming back. If this came back at 4, you can expect this deck to have way more protection outside of just DP reduction. To further assist, I went with the BT13 Dorugreymons because of its ability to tuck end of turn. Which means if you pass the turn to 1, you can utilize this Digimon to tuck say Dorumon to gain another memory and keep the turn. As for dexdorugamons, the same logic applies here where I wanted the memory gain over the protection, but the ratios are still there. Level 6s, it's simply 3 ouryumons, because this Digimon can place an X antibody trait card into the sources to delete an opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 7 or less. In which case, this can hilariously hit some of the 7-cost ace Digimon that are quite popular right now. In addition, when FX place Digivolution cards under this Digimon, it gets a DP buff and can be deleted by your opponent's effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Considering you could do this at the end of every turn with that Dorugreymon, that's an even stickier body. Which of course for the remainder of the 6s, we use that new Alphamon because of its unsuspendability. And while you could run the old ouryumon mode, I noted in testing that most of the time you pass turn and leave a sticky Digimon on board that couldn't be deleted. Which means that if your opponent attacked, it was an easy Blast Evo play into ouryumon mode ace in order to recover, delete something, and then trash security to gain 3 memory. Honestly, this is a toss-up of what you want to do in the build, but this card is hilarious. Option-wise, the final Zubagon Punch makes a return as a secondary way to get extra checks, reboot, and more. And of course with consistency you're looking at defense trainings. But the one card you'll still need is of course the X Antibody Protoform. This converts a lot of your Digivolutions to 1, 2, or even 3 in the case of Alphamon, and can recycle a piece when your Digimon leaves play. But if you still think consistency is a problem, by all means, adjust these ratios as you see fit. And finally for Tamers, I was testing with Cool Boys, but didn't find them as impactful as Yuji Messiah himself. As a result, the only Tamers this deck runs is Yuji Messiah for that memory gain and draw when you promote up. And while I don't touch on this Tamer, if you're really wanting a memory fixer, there's Koto Demoto as one option, or you could even throw in the Kosuke Kisakata as another. The only downside with these are that you adjust your level 4s marginally with potentially Raptordramon free playing Kota, or even utilizing the SOC Dorumon to cheat Kosuke out. But your searching overall is minimum for these, which can get tricky. And while this is one avenue you can explore, I did take a look at whether making it CS trade is viable. It's possible, but the efficiency of Yuji Messiah goes significantly down because you have less X antibody cards in rotation. The vision here was applying an overall black level 5 end with not just Dorugreymon, but Infamon as well. By keeping the level 5s black, this means you can Digivolve an ouryumon or Alphamon respectively. But again, it is extremely tricky, and that build hasn't shown too much success for me so far. All in all, this is a pretty fun version of the deck that makes Alphamon's DP reduction ability obnoxious. So obnoxious that you could practically use it 3 to 5 times in a single turn. But is this something you'd be considering for Alphamon decks, or are you looking to stay at what was already solved many sets ago? Stay tuned, because I found a few other amusing card interactions from BT22 that you might just look into and piggyback into something else. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.